World of Warcraft's new expansion of Dragonflight. Within the Ohn'ahran plains we find the Centaur. Not an unusual sight within the Warcraft universe, but the very presence of them here has led many to question how it was possible. To our current knowledge, the Centaurs did not exist until after the island had been sealed away. In the ever-changing landscape, like the ongoing story of an MMO, it can be difficult to know. A debate has since sprung up whether these centaurs are a retcon of the original story or something else altogether. Let's explore this together. Come, take a seat by the fire. Let's begin with the story of the Centaur as we knew it. This takes us all the way back to Kalimdor, specifically the Desolus, an extremely lore-rich zone overlooked by most. It is here that we learn about their horrific origins. Long ago, the Titan Forged fought a war against the elements, one which eventually culminated in the elemental lords and their servants being sealed away within prisons, now known as the elemental planes. One of these lords was Therazane. Her daughter, Theradris, was cunning and evaded capture by hiding deep beneath the earth. Millennia later, the Tauran shamans that called this place home sensed a great slumbering power deep beneath the rock and soil. They thought it was their goddess, the Earth Mother, and performed many rituals to commune with her. However, what awoke was not their benevolent goddess. The land that the Taurans called Mashan-Shay was drained of all life to restore Theradris to full power. It would then be forever known as the Desolus. This monumental loss of life sent shockwaves throughout nature, and Zeta, a child of Cenarius, came to investigate. He did eventually find the princess, and became entranced by the very spirit energies she had gorged herself on. It was through this union that the cursed Centaur were born. Zeta realized what he had done, and attempted to soothe the madness that they were born with, but it turned out to be his demise, and he was subsequently murdered by them. Theradris entombed his spirit within Maraudon, where she would ultimately be defeated by a group of adventurers. The Centaur's innate bloodlust drove them to constant battles. They would not only terrorize the Tauran and drive them almost to the point of extinction, but would often succumb to infighting and battles for dominance. While intelligent creatures, they often struggle to control their baser instincts. Now let us look at WoW's new expansion of Dragonflight, where we find a Centaur tribe in the Ohn'ahran plains. It has existed here before the island was sealed away, over 10,000 years ago. How is this possible? Luckily, the tribe's oral traditions have passed down their story through their generations, ones which we have been able to find. The Centaur here are named the clans of Maruk to honor their founder. He is legendary among his people, and alongside his mate Tira ensured the continuation of their race. To discover how, we must journey back over 10,000 years to the War of the Ancients. The name Maruk is first mentioned here, when the skies darkened and the air filled with screams, and the nightmarish monsters of the Burning Legion first came to Azeroth. The centaurs were attacked along with everyone else. They were not prepared as the fell tide washed over them. That was until the strongest among their people rose up to fight back, and his name was Maruk. He led the charge, and his legend tells how he left a pile of demon corpses 1,000 strong before returning home to tend to his wounds. He was heralded as a hero, but the other leaders grew fearful. They feared they would lose their power. They sent assassins in the night to strike while he was weakened. His mate Tira intervened and slew the would-be killers, and in the very same night took the lives of the clan leaders who sent them. Her actions in the eyes of the other centaur were judged to be just. But this treachery was too much for her and Maruk. After all they had given for their people, this last betrayal was enough, and they set off to find a new life. Many centaur who believed the same would follow them and form a new clan as they searched for a new home. From here, it gets a little hazy. They talk about how they wandered for a time, endlessly searching, until the wild god Ohn'ahra used the wind to guide them. It led to their home with the self-same name, the Ohn'ahran Plains. Now, even before the Great Sundering, the Dragon Isles was just that, an island, and there was never any mention of boats. While it is possible there was a land bridge, it is much more likely that the guidance from the winds was the use of literal magic from the wild god. Whether this means the actual flight, or more that she allowed them to use the emerald pathways, is unclear. What is clear is that once they arrived, the wild god revealed themselves and told them that this would be their new home, where they could live in peace. Maruk, seeing that his journey was over and his people were safe, gave up the long fight and succumbed to his wounds. It would be his mate Tira who guided the clans to the tenuous alliance with the green Dragonflight. It would be easy here to scream Retcon, considering the two timelines do not sync up. But before we jump to conclusions, we here at the campfire believe the links have always been there, hidden in plain view. And this is just some explanation that was missing. First, if some of the Centaur did not follow Maruk, does that mean they all perished in the Great Sundering, without leaving any trace whatsoever? While possible, it does not seem likely. But there is a race that has been all but forgotten, one who has the same hybrid-like appearance, the Magnator from Northrend. They have the self-same aggressive and mistrusting tendencies, and even have the same nomadic lifestyle. The major differences obviously being their prodigious size and more mammoth qualities. But 10,000 years is a long time in Warcraft, and a long time to spend without access to the waters of the Well of Eternity. We propose that the centaur that remained were driven to the edge of extinction, where it became an every hybrid for himself situation, one which only the most aggressive would survive in the new icy wasteland. The mammoth-like appearance would be a natural evolutionary step to live in the colder climates. Secondly, how did these new centaur emerge much later in Kalimdor? Well, what if I told you that the creation of the centaur race was never a unique occurrence? That the blending of elemental earth magic with spirits seems to produce these hybrids on many occasions. From the World of Warcraft comics, we know that a Stone Lord, the father of Aratus, created a new, stronger breed of centaur called the Bloodsworn. He would use them to conquer the mortal races and make them pay for the cataclysm for which he blamed them. Even in Tauran myth, they speak of Cenarius, the original hybrid being made from the self-same blend in their story, the White Stag and the Moon. While quite obviously shrouded in allegory, the process seems very much the same. And finally, we have to go back even further, right the way back to the manual for Warcraft 3. Some of you may be lucky enough to still have yours, and I urge you to look up on the chapter on Centaur. While even there they do mention the possibility of them originating from Cenarius, they specifically mention that many of the Tauran talk of how Centaur have always existed. Many of the Tauran histories were lost in the chaos that followed the creation of the Desolace. But if the elders knew of the centaurs before, it is likely that the centaur, albeit in much smaller numbers, were around for a long time. If I have not persuaded you, then that's okay. I just hope everyone has an open mind. I know a lot of people have become attached to knowing things a certain way. But imagine how boring it would be if there was nothing left to discover. Let's imagine it like this. We had a telescope and we looked into it every night. We learned absolutely everything there was to know from what we could see. But someone came and gave us a gift of an even better one. This telescope can see 10 times as far. Suddenly, that glowing orb you thought was a beautiful star is now a planet. The discoveries you are making now make you question everything you learned from your old vantage point. And while it can be shocking, ultimately the outcome is amazing. Just think of all the discoveries you have yet to make. Oh, and don't forget to come back anytime.